tempest. It is a tempest on Tyre Barn Street, through the wind and the rain, the sweet silver sip of the Erdinger. I've got Mick Moran. Ronnie's lad, not Ronnie's lad really, but it means that's the way the pronunciation should be, so I've got it right this time. I've got Phil Blundell and I've got Mo Stewart. Things went badly wrong a minute or two ago with the first take of this, and yet we find ourselves moving forward in the tempest. It is a pleasure to be here. We are downstairs, I hasten to add. Phil, weather. I've mentioned that it has been a tempest. I've mentioned the wind and the rain. Liverpool had so much of it on Wednesday. I think they're going to get more on Sunday. I don't think this is going anywhere. We've certainly had a lot of it on the way here. There is so much weather knocking around the place.
Small ground as well again, isn't it? I don't think that helped the other night in terms of...
Yes.
Like, it felt like it got worse at half-time.
It did.
I was sort of...
Did they know before they won the toss? That's what I wanted to know. Did they look the weather forecast up?
We just kicked normal ways though, didn't we?
Did we?
So, yeah, we would usually... That's where you'd usually kick at Bournemouth, so I don't think there was anything in that, but it felt
But
like...
you don't know about the Cherries?
Well, just the away ends at that end of the ground, and we kicked their second half, so you'd assume that's what it was, Neil. I've not got a spreadsheet, don't worry. You probably have though.
Yeah.
It just felt like there was a period, sort of 10 minutes before they scored and a few minutes after, and there wasn't too long between the two goals. It really felt like I didn't see how we were getting up the pitch consistently.
I didn't see how you could get up the half.
Like, because you couldn't send it high.
Yeah.
Because the ball would basically come back. Like, there was a goal kick that Kelleher took that I think if we'd have left the ball, it would have gone out for a corner.
Yeah.
Like, that's not an exaggeration. You could see on the defenders when they had the ball, they didn't want to go backwards because they knew that was just moving us 10 yards backwards further up the pitch, and that's a problem. They didn't really want to go sideways in case something happened, and I don't know if you've seen the pass map. It's insane. I've never seen anything like it for people. If you understand pass maps, go and look at it. It's mental. So they didn't want to go sideways, so you had to basically funnel it into the side or forward to a midfielder, who then had to try and not lose the ball and turn, and simultaneously be concerned about what was there.
And a gust.
And then a 60-mile-an-hour gust, which according to one journalist on Twitter, it wasn't actually that windy, which I really did enjoy. It just looked ridiculous. There was honestly a point where, after they'd equalised, he said, "Do you want to go straight to penalties?" I'd have gone, yes.
Yeah. No, that's
because that's how ridiculous it was.
It was... well, it was just out of control, really, and I think they must show an unbelievable amount of character. I think the manager in general is a head case in loads of ways. Like, football matches kick off and he is desperate to win them.
Yeah.
And I think before the game we'd have done we've got to look after ourselves, we've got to rest, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. Then suddenly we're playing in a 60-mile-an-hour gale and he's like, we win this.
Yeah.
And that's part of his brilliance. It's what most football managers are made of, if we're honest about it. It's a mad job and it attracts slightly mad men. But I like it when he's in the midst of one. And they were all in the midst of one, and that's why Salah plays for the year and a day.
Yeah, and he almost kind of admitted it in the presser today. It sounded like that really wasn't the plan, it's just how the game works out. And it's funny because when you're in those ones, you hate them. But when you get out of them, particularly when you win them, you absolutely love them. I mean, we all know how much Jurgen loved Burnley away. It's still kind of like a touchstone for all of us in lots of different ways. And this is, I've been saying about relationships being forged through fire loads this season already, and this is another one. This is one of those games.
Different elements, crucially.
Different elements. Right, I mean, there's not many times you have literally a Great Wall of China right between one set of the lads and the other set of the lads.
It's so funny.
Oh my God,
you play a little bit over there, and then the pass map says, when we goes there, you play a little bit, never the twain shall meet.
And I mean, watching it, I was getting serious flashbacks from my under-9s games, and we fell apart completely like a house of cards every time that happened. So kudos to the professionals for not doing so. But I think there's so many other things about the way this team are at the moment. It's almost like bring on every kind of wind, rain, red cards, you name it, we'll bat them away. And like, we joke about it and we love it, but it really is going to help them when they get to the business end.
My favourite thing was when their lad worked out that if to take a corner, all he had to do was hang the ball up there. it was really, really funny. In that he just basically, I thought it was mad he took him off, but they could have just told him just to stand on the centre spot and then take the corners, because he worked the corners out so much. He just went, I just hang it up, put it there, and it's gonna cause chaos. And it did cause chaos, and it's reasonable that it causes chaos. And this is the point, and this is why people on Twitter shouldn't be saying it wasn't that windy. You could see exactly what it was doing.
Yeah, I mean, you have to play Sunday League to realise, like what you mentioned there before, Phil, the goal kick, where it basically flies back to the pen spot, and I've seen the graphic.
I think once actually headed it clear.
It
came over his shoulder and he headed it clear. I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
He's played at Kirby.
I loved like someone put the graphic up and then someone just went, what? I think a journalist put like what happened in this game, and someone put like a little graphic on Hurricane Alley. That's basically what it was. Like, but yeah, I think first half we didn't really realise just how hard it was until that second half, where you thought, right, these corners, when someone left-footed on the right hand side is going to take it, and then someone goes, nah, don't take that, I'm going to come over and take that because it needs to be an in-swinger. Then when they started peppering them, I was like, fucking hell, this is a nightmare.
You say that, but if a left-footed fella took it, it probably would have
scored. It still would have went in, yeah, but Gomez clears it off the line as good as a goal.
That was unreal, that header.
Good as a goal, and yeah, they just kept doing it, and it's, of course, yeah, it was working a treat, and it only piled the pressure on us, especially with like Konsa, who was quality as well.
Konsa was quality, and I think that it matters that you've got to be able to defend it all seasons, and that's not me being sort of this stage of any year anyway is when it becomes a bit of a slog. It's almost weirdly like the matches are easier in December. I mean, I'm basing this on no science, just what it feels like. End of October, all the way through November, everything always feels like a slog.
Because the lesser sides are playing twice a week. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And they're tired.
In December, so it becomes easier then. And that's it. You know, this was a bit of a big game for Bournemouth in the end, and their manager picks a big team. One, to be fair, picks Salah. I just like that idea of, you know, you mentioned Konsa there, Gomez as well. Footballers who maybe before the ball was kicked this season might not have felt that much part of it are banging it. They're banging it for the fight.
Yeah, I think there's loads of players that you can look and think, like some Matip and Gomez, like maybe at the start of the season you think, is their time coming to an end? And I think they've raised it even more than we maybe expected, and like the Konsa coming in, like what do we know when people are saying sound a centre half? Like Klopp obviously knows more than us, doesn't he? So, but the factors of like having the Europa League, having all the cups, having the Premier League every game every 3 days basically, you've got time to get these players in and give them a chance. And I think Konsa's, I mean, he was taking the piss at times, like the way how long he was on the ball, and Keller was passing into him and going, right lad, I trust you in this position. And I think that's a big sign, because I think we've had centre-backs in the past, like recent past, like the likes of Nat Phillips and Reece Williams, who there's clear deficiencies there. I don't want to big Kwanzaa up too much, but I think he's got so much going for him, like speed.
They just let him get on with his game. They used to try and babysit those two.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not doing this. They're just going your sound.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest compliment you can pay him. Like he's able to get on with it. And I don't know if you saw the little Cruyff turn by the corner. Yes. By the corner, that was just like chef's kiss, like so good.
He's really impressive. He's not the only one though, you know, it's worth saying again, we forget how young Elliott is. I thought Elliott was really good in the hour that he was on. A couple of the others over the course of the game, Phil, you know, they put performances in that sort of demand selection / attention. I thought Jones was ever so good, much better than he'd been the week before against Toulouse. It was almost like he hadn't played football for a while. But I think that you begin to see exactly how deep this squad goes. I think that's the exciting part of this. It genuinely does feel like he has got himself 22, 23, maybe even 25.
Yeah, there's a huge number of variations you'd be happy with starting at Luton or something. Part of that is because you're able to get them on the pitch with the Europa League and League Cup and things like that. You're able to actually give them the opportunities, whereas you're in the Champions League, you're like we've got to win this game, so we're basically making 2 changes. We probably change. Like last season, it felt like we changed maybe a centre-back, maybe one of the midfield, and maybe one of the forward line. And otherwise, it was 8 the same again. And that was our way home. Whereas this, you can change 7 or 8. And changing the 7 or 8 gives the people the opportunity to get a run together. Yeah. And they're able to go, oh, I've got this in me. Like I remember a few years ago, there was Chamberlain was one, and he used to get people. He'd come on for 20 minutes, and people would be like, he's not done it there.
Not at the level.
Not at the level. And I'm like, well, he's come on and the team were playing badly. So what you're after is Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain coming on to change things, but he wasn't starting ahead of the ones who couldn't do it anyway. So that's not fair. But also, he hasn't played for a month.
Yeah.
And it's just, what's he supposed to do when he's not playing? Whereas Gomez has probably played more than I think we would have expected him to.
I think it's 7 starts, 8 starts at this point.
Exactly. That if you'd have been told that in August, you'd have gone, is Van Dijk all right? Is Konate all right? And everyone's broadly speaking fine. There's obviously a suspension. Konate had a
bit of a problem.
2 games or something like that with injury, but you get them in the team and they're able to prove that they are good players. And I think the manager sort of got a thing last year where it was like, he's too loyal. And it's not necessarily that he's too loyal. It's just that he knows what they're capable of with a run. you just can't necessarily give them the run, and then you see them get the run, and you're like, yeah, he is right.
Because you can't afford 3 games
exactly.
of them taking a bit of time. I think the Jones difference to lose into Bournemouth is massive for me.
Like,
you just get to see what it
think
means.
Think about Gomez at the start. Like, Gomez had a nightmare at Napoli last year.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't have the opportunity for that to happen, whereas this season, okay, it's not because we're playing better as a team, but you haven't had to protect players in the same way because the team functions as well.
Excellent stuff. Luton builds up, coming in a second.
And Erdinger, please.
Stop! Don't forget the best bit.
Welcome back. Mo, Luton builds up then. It is, I think, that, you know, to me, I don't think there will be a surprise, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was a surprise, as bad as that is. In that I think that there's an argument, there's one thing that Luton can do, and it's going to be set pieces.
Yeah.
That's going to be their way home. So there's an argument that he could, for instance, pick a few bigger players or more early able players in his 11. I actually don't think he will at the minute. I think he will back the boys, but it wouldn't surprise me if every change makes Liverpool taller, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and we can do that now. I think from a certain perspective, previously last season, you were looking around and going, well, where are the tall fellas? And they're all right. I mean, obviously, Mack and Endo aren't exactly massive, but then you've got Gravenberg, who is.
But Endo's also really good in the air.
He is
infamously good in the air.
He's better than he is high. And then I would say the same about Sobozai as well. It's notable that the some players who did get complete rest in the midweek, Ibu and Virgil were 2 of them. So it's not so much the fact that they didn't need the extra rhythm, it's the fact that we want you to be at maximum. We don't want you to have any kind of niggles going into the game, so you can give it your all and be tested again and again and again, because that it probably is going to be it. If we've got wind like it was previously, they're going to be heading a lot of balls.
They are, Mo, but I'll come back to you on this. I think that the best way to not concede from set pieces is to not give set pieces away. Like, that's your number one way to do set piece based defending. And I think where Virgil is at the minute, Morris for Luton, who's a very clever player. He's the player who's made the most of his ability, because he knows where the game is, he knows where his teammates are, he knows how to work the ball to them, but he wants to pull onto Virgil's side. And I just think that could suit Liverpool down to the ground in this one, because Virgil's got himself to such a pitch that the idea of defending at this level should suit him.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's almost been a while where players have stopped trying to hide from Virgil. It's almost like last year everyone was convinced he was washed, so it's almost like, oh, well, he's fine now, let's give it a go. And if players are thinking that, good, because he's not washed. Absolutely not. I mean, anyone who watched the Forest game will see, like, Anthony Lang was kind of following him around like he was his son at the playground. Like, he didn't actually get anywhere near him with any kind of danger. And I mean, obviously, you say Morris is a much better striker and probably going to cause him a lot more problems, got a little bit more streetwise, but then he's a little bit more, I would say, your Troy Deeney, Mikel Antonio kind of striker, and trying to find a little advantage where there is always some. We can deal with those kind of players, and it won't be just them two. I think we're now hunting as a pack in attack and defence, and that's really helping.
Yeah, you know it's going to be. Someone's going to get a result there. I've said it all the way through the season. I don't think it happens on Sunday, not least because I think Virgil's going to absolutely adore this one, shoot him down to the ground. Someone will get a result there. Every game they've been in pretty much has been a game until the 90th minute. That's the one thing you've got to give them credit for, because you know they're not necessarily going to be anywhere near the best team technically in the country, Mick. They've shown a lot of spirit. The big thing is, though, as we just said about Bournemouth, we've shown a lot of spirit, and that's why I feel as though if we match their attitude and as our performance, it should be a straightforward contest. It should be.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing you can say is, like, you're not questioning Liverpool's commitment anymore. I think last season there was times where any slight negative, giving away a corner, throwing near the box.
You'd be dreading this game.
You'd be shitting yourself going, fucking, it's going to be a nightmare this. But now,
you'd almost be going to can't be bothered.
Yeah. But now we got to the point where Liverpool they've not only got quality, but they're showing the spirit and the fighting spirit. And obviously there's players like the likes of Szoboszlai and Nunes who are the main carriers of that. And I think it's just, yeah. I think, like you said, with Van Dijk, I think this is just the type of game that he loves. Like, throw it up. If someone's going to try and beat him in the air, go ahead. If you're going to try and beat him on the ground, whatever, it's not going to happen. And I feel like that's only a testament to how Van Dijk's kind of got himself back to a level where people, like you were saying before, people saying that he's done and whatever, and it's like, fair enough if you want to say that, but if you only got to watch him like recently to see how good he is.
There's something I think with it, Mick, where you'll get to see, it's a funny thing to say, but in this little run of games, Everton moves itself into Forest moves itself into Luton, and hopefully Luton into Brentford, and we haven't seen those two yet. But we know, for instance, Virgil's going to need to be really good for us to have a chance of getting anything out of the Etihad. But we also know that Virgil could be really good, and Man City could be so good, it almost doesn't matter. I think it's dead interesting, the idea that in these games, you feel like Virgil, and you've saw it against Everton, and you've saw it against Forest. If Virgil plays his 9 out of 10, he massively impacts the game. And I think that's a massive thing for us in this. It's not just even the idea of the way he defends, it's the fact that he can start attacks from where he is, and that, I think, is so important.
Yeah, I think his confidence probably waned a little bit as well, especially last season, where everyone's talking about like we're trying to build on the years previously, and we just couldn't do it. We were trying to get the engines going, and it just wasn't happening last season for whatever reason, with injuries and whatever else. Like, confidence was at all-time low, but I feel like this season is, if players are confident, and the players that we brought in, the likes of Soberstein, McAllister, out of position, the likes of other players like Diaz, hopefully if he's available, that can kind of just push us forward. And I feel like, yeah, this is again, it's every game is massive. I feel like when I was going into the Bournemouth game, and even like the Toulouse game, I wasn't like thinking, another game. I was thinking this is not another game just to win, but to kind of keep the momentum going as well, because that's what Liverpool, we've seen in years gone by. It's different Liverpool sides, but when we get on a run and once we get a bit of momentum,
you look at Klopp at Dortmund, Mick,
exactly.
And that's what it's all about. You know, he loves a season where suddenly it's win. That's the way it works.
Yeah, and I saw like recently, like Luton, I think they got beat by Spurs. It was only 1-0 at their place. Van der Ven scored like 70th minute, whatever. It's like, well, looking through their results, you're like, well, they've beat Everton at home, which is hilarious, but at the Goodison, I should say. But like they've got like you said, they've got some decent players, and it's like one of them that it's again like the previous game. It's, I guess, set up for Liverpool to come through it. But I think hopefully, like, I don't want to start mentioning like mentality monsters and whatever like Klopp's mentioned in the past, but I feel like we're hopefully getting back to that stage where, like we mentioned before, any adversity, red cards, whatever, goal kicks that nearly going out for corners, you know what I mean? Anything like that, it's not like, I'm not thinking it's going to be the end of us anymore. I'm feeling like it's going to be, well, bring it on. Let's see what else we can do.
I think the other thing about it as well is it might be one where it might not necessarily go as easily as we all wanted to in Plan A. We might have to wait. I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to be one of those games where a moment of magic seals it, whether it's a 1-0 or a 2-1, but we match their fight and then our greater quality comes out in one magic moment. That's kind of the way I see it going. But the thing about Luton is that we're not going to get, I'd be very surprised if we get to a stage, even if it's 2-0 on 60, where they kind of turn it in and think, okay, on to the next one. They're going to fight to the 95th, 96th minute. Like, they came back from 2 down away at Forest, I think it was like 15 minutes to go.
It wasn't even just less than that.
Yeah.
It was like 85, it was still 2-0.
So whether or not even if we've got a 2-goal lead, I don't think we can afford to think.
Fight for our lives.
I don't think we can afford to think we've put this away. But without wanting to kind of put too much pressure on him, I think we might see something from Salah again. I always think when we go to a new team, I just think of the Salah's mentality. It's another set of fans to go there, be able to see him play in the flesh and be like, wow, he really is that good. And I know that he thinks those things way about things. And I wouldn't be surprised if he blesses them with something special.
It's going to be I think it will be a fight, and that's the thing at the minute, is when Liverpool have typically been confident in the last few years, they've loved a fight. Like, if you look at, we've got an ability to go away from home and lose to newly promoted / poor sides under Klopp. You know, there was Watford in his first season, which was one of the poorer performances under, and then right through to Nottingham Forest last season.
Shout.
And there's bad ones, but it's mostly when it's not happening. If you look at 18, 19 and 19, 20.
And 17, 18.
And 17, 18 as well. No evidence of these games.
Yeah.
When we lose to Swansea in 17, 18, that's the only...
We do, yeah.
Night, that's the only one, I think. Most of the time,
the Monday nights have to beat City. They beat City 4-3 and they go to Swansea. It's a bit like they're a bit knackered almost.
The pitch was like they were playing on a plough field as well, but...
Don't talk about the pitch when you go to Kenilworth.
No,
Kenny hated going to Luton. Hated going to Luton. He slagged it off before kick-off, slagged it off during the game, and slagged it off after the match.
No, this will be a battle. The only thing, mentioned Spurs winning 1-0. Spurs should have been 3-0 up after 10 minutes. Like, not like, if they'd have taken this chance. Like, they had gilt-edged chances that they should have been put. That game should have been done on 10 minutes. Now, we're probably a bit better than Tottenham at taking chances. So if we just create the chances, and we've probably got to get on them early, because if we get at them early, I think there's a real chance you can take the game away from them very early.
And then just manage
the
it
longer
from that
it goes
point,
on, the bigger the problem. I think I heard something on a show the other day. I can't remember whether it was one of yours or something else, but their chances if it's still 0-0 on.
Yeah,
85.
Yeah, don't
make sure that doesn't happen.
Don't mention other people's shows. Mick's got some of his own shows. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. So I'm going to ask you from prediction, and I'm going to ask Phil to name his favourite object that's covered in gilt. What is his favourite gilt-edged object? You can pick anything he wants. What's the prediction for you?
Yeah, I'm going to go 3-1. I feel like hopefully the wind isn't as torrential. I mean, I always want to give hope Liverpool keep a clean sheet, but I never want to predict it just in case. I always want to give myself a little bit of an edge. But I can see, hopefully Mo predicted there, like a Salah goal, a couple of Salah goals, 3-1.
Yeah, 2-1 Salah, stunner.
Favourite gilt-edged object?
My soul.
Your soul was gilt-edged.
So you gave him too long to think about it.
Erdinger, tempest on Tyne Barn Street, thank you very much.